the bottom of the world, where South America narrows to a whisper and the continent surrenders to the sea, lies a land that defies every expectation. Patagonia, a name that carries the weight of mystery and the promise of the impossible. This is not merely a destination. It is the edge of everything we know, stretching across 800,000 square kilometers of Argentina and Chile. A territory so vast it could swallow most European countries whole, yet home to fewer people than a single metropolitan city. Here the rules of nature bend and break. Glaciers advance while others retreat. Winds reshape the landscape. With hurricane force, mountains pierce the sky like ancient cathedrals built by forces beyond human comprehension. And at the very tip of this wilderness stands a small city that wears its isolation like a badge of honor, calling itself simply the end of the world. But Patagonia is more than geography. It is a living testament to the power of time and ice, where every valley tells a story written in stone, and every lake holds the memory of glaciers that once covered continents. This is where evolution experimented with life at the extremes, creating creatures found nowhere else on Earth, from penguins that walk beaches beneath snow-capped peaks, to pumas that hunt in landscapes so dramatic they seem carved from dreams. The story begins not with human arrival, but with collision. 14 million years ago, massive tectonic plates ground against each other beneath what would become the Southern Ocean. The Antarctic plate dove beneath South America, pushing the Earth skyward and creating the spine of mountains that would define this land forever. What emerged was a geological masterpiece, a landscape so raw and powerful that it continues to reshape itself with each passing season. As the planet cooled and warmed through countless ice ages, glaciers advanced and retreated like slow-motion tidal waves of ice. They carved valleys thousands of feet deep, polished granite into impossible spires, and left behind a maze of fjords and lakes that mirror the sky in shades of turquoise and emerald that seem too vivid to be real. The first humans to witness this spectacle arrived 12,000 years ago, following migrations that had carried them across continents and through ice corridors that no longer exist. These were the Tehuelche, nomadic peoples who learned to read the language of wind and weather, who followed the seasonal movements of guanacos across endless steppes, and who developed a culture perfectly adapted to one of Earth's most challenging environments. They called this land many names, but to the Spanish explorers who arrived centuries later, it became known as Patagonia. The origin of this name carries its own legend, derived from the word for the large footprints. these indigenous people left in the soft earth. Footprints that seemed to belong to giants in the eyes of men who had never imagined such a place could exist. But the true giants of Patagonia were never human. They were the forces that shaped the land itself. And they continue their work today with a patience that measures time, not in years but in millennia. The southern Patagonian icefield, the third largest reserve of fresh water on Earth, feeds dozens of glaciers that flow like frozen rivers toward the sea. Some retreat in the face of changing climate, while others, defying global trends, continue their ancient advance. Among these ice giants stands the Perito Moreno, a glacier that moves forward with such determination that it regularly carves icebergs the size of buildings into the turquoise waters of Lago Argentino. The sound of this ice breaking echoes across the mountains like thunder. A reminder that this landscape is very much alive, constantly reshaping itself according to laws written in ice and stone. The climate here follows no familiar pattern. This is a land where the saying goes that if you do not like the weather, you need only wait 10 minutes. The notorious Patagonian winds, born from the collision of air masses over the vast southern ocean, can reach speeds that reshape the very contours of the land. Trees grow horizontally, sculpted by decades of relentless wind, into living flags that point perpetually away from the prevailing gusts. These extreme conditions have created an ecosystem unlike any other on Earth. In the eastern steppes, vast grasslands stretch toward horizons that seem to curve with the planet itself. Here, guanacos move in herds across landscapes so open that they appear to float like mirages in the distance. These elegant relatives of llamas have adapted to survive on sparse vegetation and to outrun the region's apex predator, the Patagonian puma. The puma of Patagonia represents evolution's response to extreme conditions. Larger and more powerful than their northern cousins, these cats have developed hunting strategies perfectly suited to the open landscape. They are patient stalkers, capable of bringing down prey 3 times their size. And their presence shapes the behaviour of every other creature in their domain. Above this terrestrial drama, the sky belongs to the Andean condor, a bird so massive that its wingspan can exceed 10 feet. These giants ride thermal currents that rise from the valleys, soaring for hours without a single wing beat. Surveying their kingdom with eyes that can spot carrion from miles away. They are living symbols of the scale that defines everything in Patagonia, where even the wildlife seems designed for a landscape of impossible proportions. But it is along the coast where Patagonia truly reveals its capacity for spectacle. The peninsula Val d'Aise transforms seasonally into one of the world's greatest wildlife theatres. From June through December, southern right whales arrive in the protected bays, massive creatures that can reach 60 feet in length and weigh as much as 40 cars. They come here to mate and give birth, turning the coastal waters into a nursery for giants. The whale's arrival coincides with the breeding season of thousands of southern elephant seals. Creatures whose males can weigh as much as 3 cars and whose battles for territory shake the very beaches where they fight. The sound of their combat carries for miles, a bass note that seems to emerge from the earth itself. Meanwhile, on remote islands and isolated beaches, hundreds of thousands of Magellanic penguins return each spring to nest in burrows. They dig into the soft soil. These comical yet resilient birds undertake migrations that span thousands of miles, navigating by stars and magnetic fields to return to the exact beaches where they were born. The convergence of marine and terrestrial ecosystems creates opportunities for predators that exist nowhere else. Along certain beaches, orcas have learned to beach themselves temporarily to snatch young elephant seals from the shoreline, a hunting technique so specialized and dangerous that it is practiced by only a few pods worldwide. These killer whales represent the apex of marine intelligence. Creatures capable of learning and teaching hunting strategies that border on the supernatural. As the seasons change, so does the character of this land. Summer brings endless daylight to the far south, where the sun barely sets, and the landscape glows with a light that photographers chase across continents to capture. Winter brings a different kind of drama. As storms sweep in from the Southern Ocean with a fury that can ground aircraft and strand travellers for days. Yet it is precisely this unpredictability, this refusal to be tamed or fully understood, that makes Patagonia so compelling. This is a place that demands respect, that teaches humility to anyone who ventures into its embrace. It is a landscape that reminds us that despite all our technology and knowledge, there are still places on Earth that operate according to their own rules, places where nature remains the undisputed master. The roads that cross this wilderness are few and far between. Ribbons of gravel that disappear into horizons that seem to stretch beyond the curve of the Earth itself. Travellers who venture along these routes report a strange phenomenon. A sense that they have left the familiar world behind and entered a realm where different laws of physics apply. Where distance and time seem to stretch and compress according to the whims of wind and weather. Towns in Patagonia are not built so much as they are negotiated with the landscape. Settlements that exist by the grace of geography and the determination of people who choose to make their lives at the edge of the possible. Each community tells its own story of adaptation and resilience, of learning to live with forces that dwarf human ambition and humble human pride. These settlements exist because somewhere in the long arc of human history, someone looked at this unforgiving landscape and saw not impossibility, but opportunity. They saw harbours that could shelter ships from the endless storms, valleys where sheep could graze despite the wind, and rivers where salmon returned with the reliability of seasons. In the town of El Calafate, wooden houses huddle together against the Patagonian wind. Their windows facing away from the prevailing gusts. The settlement takes its name from a local shrub that produces dark blue berries. And local legend holds that anyone who tastes this fruit is destined to return to Patagonia. Perhaps there is truth in this tale, for the landscape here possesses a gravity that pulls travellers back across oceans and continents. A magnetic quality that defies rational explanation. From El Calafate, the road leads to one of the most accessible yet dramatic encounters with the forces that shape this land. Lago Argentino stretches like an inland sea, its waters coloured the impossible blue of glacial melt. At its far end, a wall of ice rises from the water, groaning and cracking with sounds that seem to emerge from the planet's core. This is the terminus of the Perito Moreno Glacier. A river of ice that has been flowing from the southern Patagonian icefield for thousands of years. Unlike most glaciers worldwide, which retreat in the face of warming temperatures, Perito Moreno continues its relentless advance. It pushes forward at a rate of several feet per day. A geological process made visible to human eyes. The glacier's face towers nearly 200 feet above the lake's surface. But this visible wall represents only a fraction of its true mass. Below the waterline, ice extends another 500 feet into the lake's depths, creating underwater cathedrals of blue ice that no human eye has ever seen. When sections of the glacier carve into the lake, the event unfolds with a drama that seems choreographed by forces beyond human understanding. First comes the sound, a crack like thunder that echoes off the surrounding mountains. Then the ice falls, chunks the size of apartment buildings tumbling into the turquoise water with splashes that can be seen from miles away. The waves created by these carvings travel across the entire lake, reaching shores where visitors stand in awed silence. but Perito Moreno is only one performer in a vast ensemble of ice. The southern Patagonian icefield feeds dozens of glaciers. Each with its own character and behaviour. Some flow toward the Pacific, carving fjords so deep and narrow that sunlight reaches their depths only for brief moments each day. Others terminate in lakes on the Argentine side, creating a landscape of interconnected waterways that reflect the sky like scattered mirrors. The Uppsala Glacier, though less famous than its neighbour, dwarfs Perito Moreno in size. Its terminus spreads across nearly 4 miles of lake surface, creating a maze of icebergs that shift and collide. With the tides, navigation through these waters requires local knowledge passed down through generations. An understanding of how ice moves and where channels remain open. Further north, the landscape transitions from ice to granite, revealing the bones of the Andes in formations that seem designed by an architect with unlimited imagination and no concern for human limitations. Torres del Paine rises from the surrounding steppe like a fortress built by titans, its 3 granite spires reaching toward the sky with such perfect symmetry that they appear almost artificial. These towers represent the exposed core of ancient volcanoes, their softer outer layers stripped away by millions of years of wind and ice. What remains is pure granite, rock so hard that it rings like a bell when struck, stone that has withstood every assault that time and weather could devise. The national park that protects these formations encompasses a complete ecosystem, a laboratory where visitors can observe how life adapts to extreme conditions. The famous W Trek leads hikers through landscapes that change with each step. From windswept grasslands where guanacos graze in the shadow of the towers, to alpine valleys where glacial streams cascade over granite ledges in waterfalls that freeze solid in winter. Here, the interplay between geology and biology creates scenes that challenge the boundaries of the possible. Turquoise lakes reflect granite spires, while flamingos feed in their shallows, their pink plumage creating a colour combination that seems too vivid for the natural world. Ancient lenga forests cling to valley walls, their leaves turning gold in autumn, and creating a brief but spectacular display before winter strips the branches bare. The wildlife that calls this landscape home has evolved strategies for survival that border on the miraculous. Vicuñas, smaller cousins of the guanaco, have developed blood chemistry that allows them to thrive at altitudes where most mammals would struggle to breathe. Their wool, finer than cashmere, provides insulation so effective that they can graze comfortably in temperatures that would be lethal to most creatures. Predators here have adapted to the open landscape by developing patience that spans days rather than hours. Pumas in Torres del Paine have learned to use the granite formations as hunting blinds, positioning themselves where wind patterns will carry their scent away from potential prey. They are capable of bringing down guanacos that outweigh them by hundreds of pounds, using technique and intelligence to overcome the disadvantage of size. The bird life reflects the dramatic nature of the landscape itself. Caracaras, intelligent raptors related to falcons, have developed tool use abilities that allow them to access food sources unavailable to other predators. They work together to roll stones away from nesting sites, demonstrating a level of cooperation rarely seen in birds of prey. Above it all, condors ride the thermal currents that rise from the valleys. Their presence a reminder of the scale that defines everything in Patagonia. These birds, with lifespans that can exceed 70 years, have witnessed changes in the landscape that span human generations. They are living links to a time when even larger creatures roamed these plains. And their continued presence suggests a resilience that offers hope in an age of rapid environmental change. The weather patterns that sweep across this region operate on a scale that dwarfs local conditions anywhere else on Earth. Storm systems born in the Southern Ocean arrive with little warning, bringing wind, rain, and snow that can transform the landscape in hours. Visibility can drop from crystalline clarity to near zero in minutes, a reminder that human plans must always yield to the superior authority of natural forces. Yet it is precisely this unpredictability that makes Patagonia so compelling for those who seek to understand their place in the natural world. This is a landscape that strips away pretension and reveals the essential relationship between humans and the environment that sustains them. It is a place where the illusion of human dominance over nature dissolves in the face of forces that operate according to laws written long before our species existed. The light in Patagonia possesses qualities that photographers and artists have struggled for generations to capture. Perhaps it is the clarity of air scrubbed clean by endless wind, or the way that vast distances allow light to travel, unfiltered across landscapes that stretch to the horizon. Whatever the cause, the illumination here seems to come from within the landscape itself, as if the rocks and ice and water generate their own luminescence. This quality becomes most apparent during the brief southern summer, when the sun traces a high arc across the sky. And daylight stretches far into what would be night in more northern latitudes. During these extended days, the granite towers of Torres del Paine glow with their own internal fire, shifting from gold to rose to deep purple as the hours pass without the sun ever quite setting. During these luminous hours, when conventional time seems suspended, the landscape reveals secrets hidden during shorter days. Ice formations that appear static in normal light show themselves to be in constant motion. Creaking and shifting as thermal expansion and contraction work their slow magic. The granite faces catch and hold the light like vast sundials, marking the passage of hours through shifting patterns of shadow and brilliance. Winter brings its own revelations, though they come wrapped in challenges that test every living thing. Storms arrive from the Southern Ocean with a ferocity that seems personal, as if the weather itself has developed intentions. Snow can fall horizontally, driven by winds that make standing upright a matter of negotiation rather than simple balance. Yet these same storms create beauty of staggering intensity, sculpting snow into formations that rival the most ambitious architecture. The seasonal migrations that pulse through this region follow rhythms established long before humans arrived to witness them. Whales traverse thousands of miles of open ocean to reach these protected waters, guided by magnetic fields and stellar navigation systems that operate beyond human understanding. Their arrival transforms the coastal environment, bringing with them nutrients that feed microscopic organisms, which in turn support fish populations that sustain entire ecosystems. On land, the movements are more subtle, but no less remarkable. Guanacos follow ancient pathways across the steppes, routes that have been travelled by their kind for thousands of generations. These migrations connect distant water sources and seasonal grazing areas, creating a network of wildlife corridors that spans hundreds of miles. The animals move with purpose that suggests knowledge passed down through genetic memory. An understanding of this landscape that transcends individual experience. The predators that depend on these movements have developed hunting strategies that account for seasonal patterns spanning years rather than days. Female pumas time their breeding to ensure that cubs are born when prey animals are most abundant, a calculation that requires understanding weather patterns, migration timing, and the subtle cues that indicate when conditions will be optimal for raising young in one of the world's most challenging environments. Human settlements in this region exist as islands of warmth and light. in an ocean of wilderness. Puerto Natales sits on the shores of Ultima Esperanza Sound, its name translating to Last Hope. A designation that captures both the isolation and the determination required to maintain civilization at this latitude. The town began as a sheep ranching centre, one of many attempts to impose agricultural order on a landscape that has never fully accepted human plans. The estancias that spread across the eastern steppes represent one of the most ambitious experiments in adapting European farming techniques to Patagonian conditions. Massive sheep stations, some covering areas larger than small countries, were established by immigrants who brought with them dreams of pastoral prosperity. The reality proved more complex, as the harsh climate and isolated location created challenges that required entirely new approaches to animal husbandry and land management. These ranches became communities unto themselves. Self-sufficient settlements where families lived for generations without seeing outsiders for months at a time. The culture that developed in these isolated outposts blended European traditions with practical adaptations to local conditions. Creating a way of life that was uniquely Patagonian. Stories passed down through ranch families speak of winters when snow isolated buildings for weeks, and of spring floods that could change the course of rivers overnight. The wool produced on these remote stations travelled thousands of miles to markets in Europe. And North America, carried by ships that braved some of the most dangerous waters on Earth to reach ports where Patagonian products commanded premium prices. This trade created one of the first truly global supply chains, connecting the most remote corners of South America with fashion centres in London and Paris. But the infrastructure required to support this industry also opened Patagonia to explorers and scientists. Who came seeking knowledge rather than profit. Early naturalists documented species unknown to science, plants and animals that had evolved in isolation to fill ecological niches. That existed nowhere else on Earth. Their discoveries revealed the true nature of Patagonian biodiversity. A complexity hidden beneath the apparent simplicity of vast open spaces. The The geological surveys that accompanied these expeditions uncovered evidence of the massive forces that had shaped the region. Rock formations told stories of ancient seas and volcanic eruptions, of glacial advances that had carved valleys thousands of feet deep, and of tectonic movements that continued to reshape the landscape at a pace measured in millimeters per year. Each discovery added new chapters to the story of how this remarkable region had come to exist. Modern research stations scattered throughout Patagonia continue this tradition of scientific inquiry. Climate researchers use ice cores extracted from ancient glaciers to reconstruct weather patterns spanning thousands of years, revealing cycles of warming and cooling that provide context for current environmental changes. Their work shows that the region has always experienced but also suggests that the current rate of change exceeds anything in the geological record. Marine biologists studying the coastal waters have documented ecosystem changes that reflect the complex interactions between ocean currents, weather patterns, and marine life. The upwelling of nutrient-rich deep water supports food chains that begin with microscopic organisms and culminate in massive whales, creating one of the most productive marine environments on the planet. Understanding these relationships becomes more critical as global climate patterns continue to shift. The conservation challenges facing Patagonia reflect tensions between preserving wilderness and meeting human needs that exist throughout the developing world. Tourism brings economic benefits to remote communities, but also creates pressures on fragile ecosystems. The careful balance required to maintain both environmental integrity and economic viability requires cooperation between governments, local communities, and international organizations committed to protecting one of Earth's last great wildernesses. Some of the most innovative conservation efforts combine scientific research with traditional knowledge held by indigenous communities whose ancestors lived in harmony with this landscape for thousands of years. These collaborations have revealed sustainable practices that modern technology can enhance rather than replace, creating models for conservation that respect both natural systems and human cultures. The Tehuelche and other indigenous groups who called this land home developed sophisticated understanding of natural cycles that allowed them to thrive in conditions that challenged later European settlers. Their knowledge of weather patterns, animal behaviour, and seasonal resources represented generations of careful observation distilled into practical wisdom. Much of this knowledge was lost during the disruptions of European colonization, but efforts to recover and preserve traditional ecological knowledge continue to yield insights relevant to modern conservation efforts. Archaeological evidence suggests that these early inhabitants lived through climate changes as dramatic as any in recorded history. Ice ages advanced and retreated, sea levels rose and fell, and vegetation patterns shifted. Across vast areas, the fact that human cultures survived and adapted to these changes provides hope that modern societies can similarly learn to live with environmental uncertainty. The lakes that dot the Patagonian landscape serve as repositories of climate history. Their sediments preserving pollen grains and other organic material. That reveal how plant communities have responded to changing conditions over thousands of years. Some lakes have remained ice-free throughout multiple glacial periods, serving as refugia where species survived environmental changes that eliminated them from surrounding areas. These ancient refuge areas continue to harbour unusual concentrations of endemic species, plants and animals found nowhere else on Earth. Many of these organisms represent evolutionary experiments that occurred in isolation. Producing unique solutions to the challenges of life in extreme environments. Their continued existence depends on maintaining the specific conditions that allowed them to evolve, making them particularly vulnerable to rapid environmental change. The rivers that drain the eastern slopes of the Andes carry more than water toward the Atlantic. They transport sediments eroded from mountain peaks, organic material from grasslands, and nutrients that support marine ecosystems hundreds of miles offshore. This flow of materials connects mountain glaciers to ocean depths, creating a single integrated system that operates on continental scales. Salmon that spawn in these rivers undertake migrations that rival those of their northern relatives, travelling thousands of miles through ocean systems before returning to the exact streams where they were born. Their journey requires navigation across open ocean using magnetic fields and chemical cues that science is only beginning to understand. The nutrients their bodies bring back to freshwater systems support not only the fish themselves, but entire food webs that depend on this annual influx of marine-derived energy. The forests that once covered much of western Patagonia have largely disappeared. Beneath advancing glaciers and changing climate. But remnant populations of southern beech trees survive in protected valleys, where they serve as living links to ancient ecosystems. These forests develop slowly in the harsh climate, with some trees requiring decades to reach maturity. Their persistence represents a form of biological patience that offers lessons for human societies learning to think in terms of generational rather than annual planning cycles. Fire plays a complex role in Patagonian ecosystems. With some plant communities depending on periodic burns to maintain their structure and diversity. Lightning strikes during rare thunderstorms can ignite grass fires that burn for weeks. Clearing accumulated dead material and creating opportunities for new growth. The timing and intensity of these fires influence vegetation patterns across vast areas, creating the mosaic of grassland and shrub communities that characterizes much of eastern Patagonia. Human-caused fires have sometimes disrupted these natural patterns, creating changes that cascade through entire ecosystems. The challenge of managing fire in Patagonia requires understanding both natural fire cycles and human activities that can alter these patterns. Success depends on cooperation between land managers, local communities, and natural processes that operate according to their own schedule, rather than human convenience. The night sky above Patagonia offers views of celestial phenomena invisible from most inhabited areas of Earth. The Southern Hemisphere's unique perspective on the galaxy, combined with exceptionally clear air and minimal light pollution, creates opportunities for astronomical observation that draw researchers from around the world. The Magellanic Clouds, satellite galaxies invisible from northern latitudes, wheel overhead with a brightness that seems almost artificial to observers accustomed to light-polluted skies. Indigenous astronomers developed sophisticated understanding of celestial cycles that guided seasonal activities and long-distance navigation. Star patterns served as calendars that indicated when to expect seasonal weather changes, animal migrations, and optimal times for various activities. This knowledge represented a form of environmental literacy that integrated terrestrial and celestial observations into practical guidance for daily life. Modern astronomical facilities built in Patagonia take advantage of these exceptional viewing conditions to study distant galaxies and search for planets orbiting other stars. Their discoveries add new chapters to humanity's understanding of our place in the universe, while their presence brings scientific infrastructure to one of Earth's most remote regions. The isolation that makes Patagonia valuable for astronomical research also creates unique challenges for maintaining complex scientific equipment. Supply chains that work reliably in more accessible locations can be disrupted by weather that grounds aircraft for weeks, or roads that become impassable without warning. Success requires redundancy, flexibility, and acceptance that nature sets the schedule for human activities. This acceptance of natural authority pervades life throughout Patagonia, creating a culture that values adaptation over control. The most successful human enterprises here are those that work with natural cycles rather than attempting to impose artificial schedules on natural processes. This philosophy extends from scientific research to tourism, agriculture, and conservation, creating approaches to human activity that may offer models for sustainability in an era of environmental uncertainty. The settlements that emerged in this vast wilderness developed their own rhythms, shaped by forces that dwarf human ambition. El Chalten sits beneath the granite spire of Cerro Fitzroy, a peak so dramatic that early inhabitants called it the Smoking Mountain, not because it breathes fire like a volcano, but because its summit captures clouds with such regularity that it appears perpetually wreathed in ethereal mist. This small town exists primarily to serve those who come to test themselves against one of the world's most challenging climbing destinations. The mountain's vertical walls rise nearly 11,000 feet from the surrounding plateau, creating technical challenges that have defeated some of the world's most accomplished alpinists. Weather windows for climbing can be measured in hours rather than days, and successful ascents require patience that can span weeks of waiting for conditions that may never arrive. The approach to Fitzroy leads through landscapes that seem designed to humble human perspective. Trails wind through valleys carved by glaciers that retreated thousands of years ago, leaving behind amphitheatres of granite where every sound echoes with cathedral-like resonance. Alpine lakes reflect the towering spires in waters so still they seem solid, creating optical illusions where sky and stone merge into patterns that challenge perception. The weather here operates according to rules that make meteorological prediction nearly impossible. Storm systems can materialize from cloudless skies within minutes, bringing winds that have been measured at over 100 miles per hour. These gusts carry enough force to lift grown adults from their feet. Turning walking into a form of negotiation with atmospheric violence that respects no human schedule or intention. Yet between these storms come moments of clarity so perfect they seem almost supernatural. The granite faces catch morning light in ways that transform stone into liquid gold. While ice formations sparkle with internal fire that appears to burn without heat. These brief interludes of calm reveal the true character of the landscape, showing features normally hidden behind veils of cloud and wind-driven precipitation. The glaciers that flow from the surrounding ice fields demonstrate the complex relationship between climate and topography in ways that challenge simple understanding. Some advance while others retreat, their behaviour determined by factors including elevation, orientation, and the specific characteristics of the terrain they traverse. The Viedma Glacier, though less famous than its neighbour Perito Moreno, displays dynamics that continue to puzzle glaciologists studying the mechanics of ice movement. These flowing rivers of ice create their own weather patterns, generating winds that flow downslope. With a consistency of liquid, while producing temperature inversions that can create tropical conditions in valleys while maintaining Arctic conditions just hundreds of feet higher in elevation. The microclimate variations across short distances require travellers to prepare for conditions ranging from desert heat to polar cold within the span of a single day's journey. The transition from ice to ocean reveals another dimension of Patagonian extremes. The coastline fragments into thousands of islands and channels where tidal ranges can exceed 30 feet, creating currents that flow with the force of major rivers. Navigation through these waters requires knowledge passed down through generations of pilots who learn to read the subtle signs that indicate safe passage through channels that shift with each tide cycle. Tierra del Fuego, the land of fire, represents the final fragmentation of the continent before it dissolves entirely into the Southern Ocean. This archipelago was named not for volcanic activity, but for the countless fires that early European explorers observed from their ships, flames lit by indigenous peoples whose culture had adapted perfectly to life at the edge of the habitable world. The Fuegian peoples developed technologies that allowed them to thrive in conditions that challenged later European settlers, equipped with what was then considered advanced equipment. Their bark canoes, designed for navigating the treacherous channels between islands, demonstrated hydrodynamic principles that modern naval architects still study. These vessels could be constructed quickly from materials available in any coastal forest, yet they proved capable of handling seas that could destroy much larger European ships. The cultural adaptations that allowed human societies to flourish in this environment included sophisticated understanding of seasonal patterns that guided everything from food procurement to social organization. Communities developed ceremonies timed to coincide with the return of migrating species, creating cultural calendars that synchronized human activities with natural cycles spanning the entire year. The loss of much of this traditional knowledge during the disruptions of European contact represents one of the great tragedies of Patagonian history. Indigenous populations declined catastrophically due to disease and conflict, taking with them generations of accumulated wisdom about living sustainably. In one of Earth's most challenging environments, efforts to reconstruct this knowledge rely on archaeological evidence, ethnographic records, and the memories of surviving community members. Patagonia stands as Earth's final frontier, a place where nature still writes the rules and humanity learns to listen. From the thunderous carving of ancient glaciers to the silent migrations across endless steppes, this land teaches us that wilderness is not empty space waiting to be filled, but a complete world operating according to laws older than civilization itself. Here, at the end of the world, we discover that some places exist not for us, but in spite of us, reminding us that the planet's most profound lessons are written in ice and stone and wind.